tell you what, I hate the goddamn cold in the dark as much as the next guy, but I need those dropouts. Right. Anyway, so trying to get ahead of myself here a little bit rather than having taken the whole thing apart and realizing I haven't filmed a fucking thing. I'm about to take the whole fucking thing apart, but before I do that, I wanted to finish my little recap here because we've had a little bit of time to pedal it around. We've gone up and down the driveway a couple of times. And actually, we've been out to ride it like in the mountains, like a mountain bike? I don't know. I think if you say everything twice, it makes it so much more real. So we've had some chance to ride the thing around a little bit, and I really just wanted to, I've got an initial fucking review of some things. And you kind of know how we do around here. You know, some days we win and some days we learn, and we did a little bit of both on this. I feel like I learned a shitload, and I'm really happy to be revisiting some things as soon as we are, but I wanted to kind of catch you guys up because I owe you an explanation. I feel we've been through this whole fucking thing together, and I feel I'd be remiss to take the whole thing apart, put it back on the stand, and work on some other shit without at least kind of, I don't know, capping off this fucking mess a little bit. So, for a change, I'm going to start with the stuff that I like. I like. There's a lot of positives here. I think the fit of it is great. It was made for me almost. The really steep seat tube angle I'm digging. Even on the pink bike, it's got a fairly steep effective seat tube, but the actual is like 75. So when you get the post really stuck out, it really sticks you out over the rear axle. This thing is 79 degrees. It's real straight up, and it took me a couple of rides to get used to being that straight up over the bottom bracket at my height, but I dig it. It's really cool. I like the high-rise bars. I like the upright seated position. It rides along just as nice. It fits really nice. That's thing the first. Thing the second, I really love the way it feels. It feels super nice. It's very, I know I say nice a lot. The suspension seems to work really well. It's real supple off the initial bit there and supportive through the midsection. You can feel the little stuff. It just erases basically, and you can feel the bigger hits, but it doesn't. It's just comfortable. It's nice. I really like. I think it's worth pursuing this suspension design. I think we're onto something here with how this is working. So that's really cool. I'm trying to get you guys back there. It pedals really well. I feel like it doesn't feel like it bobs a lot. I feel like it does have a pretty high amount of anti-squat, and I feel like it really wants to pull itself together. I don't feel it chugging under its own weight as it drives up the hill. It also seems to change direction really quickly. I mean, granted, I'm used to a 63-degree hardtail that is a little sluggish, also a much bigger fork on it, but this just seems like the geometry would have you imagine. It seems to turn direction a little bit quicker. It's amazing to me. I mean, I knew that compared to a hardtail, this was going to be more comfortable, but what I thought about what's going to happen is I'm going to be riding the same trails at the same speed. It's just going to be more comfortable. And holy fuck was I wrong, because just the added traction from this whole setup here, just overall speeds, I feel like even just a few rides, I feel like I'm going like shit your pants fast. So I'm really enjoying that. It's fucking cool. I love the way it looks. I think it's a fucking stunningly gorgeous thing. I think it's fucking beautiful. I think it's great. I think it's fucking great. I think it's beautiful to look at. So that makes me very happy. Okay, so wrapping up the win column there, a couple things we learned. It's incredibly heavy. It's really heavy. It's 40 pounds plus. It's closer to 43, I think. I said I don't give a shit about weight about a million times, just kept adding heavy stuff to it. Big chromoly steel crank and pedals, chromoly axle that goes through here to tie these things together. This thing is insanely heavy and overly complicated and also not very straight. So I'm going to work on losing some weight here and here and here. I've got parts on the way to make all those things happen. So you guys get to come along and do that with me. Fun. We're going to stop there because the rear end is its own thing. So hang on. Okay, so the rear triangle. There's kind of a lot. There's kind of a lot to say about the rear triangle. To begin with, I kind of yada-yada'd over it in the catching up, but I put the rear axle in the jig in crooked. I'm more on that in a while. And then I just didn't. This is where a computer probably would have been helpful. I could have learned a little bit more about this situation before I had to make it and realize it was too short, and then go in there and cut the inside of the stays out and then plate them in, and I'll show you more about that some other time. But like, I made this sort of internal thing. I actually sort of dig it. It's kind of neat looking, but it's an afterthought and it's a band-aid. Then I forgot to put the shit back together. I had to straighten it out with a 2x4 and cut those sections out, and it's fucking crooked, basically. Long story short is that rear end, I don't know if you can see it there. The whole thing sits off to the non-drive side by about, I don't know, 6 or 8 mil. It's a shitload. So when you get up in the big gear, in the climbing gear, it cross chains real hard. So then when you try to like put any sort of torque into it, it just fucking skips off. It's fucked up. It's wrong. It's not right. You can see the space. The space we have here is fairly large, and there's nothing like remotely that same amount of space on this side. So this whole thing just bent and fucking. And I don't want to try to fix it. I've band-aided the shit out of the back end enough that I don't want to do it again. So we're going to start that over because I've got a lot of better ideas. I think I can eliminate this place right here where the chain hits. I think I can do something better about some tire clearance. And this whole section right here, this is all very, very close together and very, very tight. I think I can make a little bit better use of this situation here. So we're going to do all of those things, which is super cool because now, I mean, realistically, we're starting from zero-ish together here, and we get to kind of go from here rather than trying to fucking dig through a backlog of months and months of footage. So, good stuff. Good stuff. I mean, honestly, it's fucking great. I love the way it rides. I love the way it looks. It's gorgeous. It rides beautifully. I really think this is worth putting more into because it feels cool. I like it. I think it's going to be neat. I like it. I like it. And we're just going to make it better. We're just going to make it better, which is cool. So come along with, let's fucking do this thing. We're going to take it apart, put it back up here, and let's just fucking make it better. Okay, so glad you guys are back. I'm not sure if you can see down in that piece of tubing. You probably can't. But we just sort of drilled there's a little step in there. We opened up the ID a little bit, so to 31/64. So it'll just press fit like a 1/2 inch bushing in this little piece here. What's that little piece here? Well, that little piece here sits on top of that little piece there. It goes right like that. Well, what's that little piece there? Oh, fuck, that's right, guys. We're redoing the rear triangle. That's what I get for not rehearsing my lines before we start. Anyway, yeah, I had a really good idea about how to remake this whole section and eliminate some of my fuckery here. Where the tire didn't fit and I had to like butcher these stays out and then put this plate in here. I actually still think that is kind of cool looking, but I don't think it's the right answer, obviously, or I won't be doing it again. This is going to be fun. Hang on to your butts because I think this is going to be cool looking. I think I've got a good idea for this time. You know what that means. It's bound to not work, but we'll do it again anyway. I just wanted to tell you what's going on with this back section here. I have these really nice swoopy mountain bikey chain stays. And I think I'm going to probably use the wrong thing I'm at least going to try it because I have this idea knocking around in my head. This could be fun. And I want to fucking try it. So we're going to do it. Roll it now. Okay, where the fuck are we? Yeah, all right, so I think we've reached that point. Yep, Buddy's giving up on us. I think we've reached that point. Can't say I blame him. I think we've reached that point in every project that we can't get there from here, right? So, I don't think I showed you. The last thing I think I filmed was the bending of these guys here. These are going to be our chain stays. Sort of something in that neighborhood. I'm having a hard time holding it up there. You kind of get, you know what a chain stay is. You get the idea there. So, I want to get this tacked in place here, right? So I can tack this guy down in here. I've got my seat stay started, but I want to get this guy... Jesus Christ, Nate. Okay, so I want to get this back section here coped up, okay? I feel like I've got this guy close to the front, but you can see what's going on there. That down piece is obviously not welded in yet. So I want to know this is where this is going to be before I fit this, right? Because it wouldn't do me any good to fit this and then put it together and realize that that whole thing had moved a couple of millimeters in the wrong direction. So I want to land this guy where it needs to be. I set my gaps here. I want to land this thing where it needs to be and tack it in place. Ditto this side over here. And then I actually need to complete that weld so that I can grind that accordingly to fit over the weld to go there, right? So we can't get there till we do all of this stuff here. So I think we're going to do all of this stuff here. Yeah? Make sense to you guys? Fucking bitchin'. Awesome. We're on it. Let's do things. We're officially putting shit back together. Also, wanted to mention, the welding portion of our program, no longer sponsored by Fear. What a fucking horrible sponsor to have accepted. Never should have done business with them. What a bunch of dicks. Fuck those guys. Looking for a new welding sponsor though, hit me up in the comments if you're interested. Okie dokie, so what I'm doing here is I'm finding my shortcomings and weaknesses and I'm addressing them. I'm fixing them, right? In Ascend version 1.1, all of this stuff just sort of balanced together, right? And we had a lot of things that all had to happen in sort of the same place at the same time. And it was all very dependent on it all being very square and very straight. Well, now I've got this part I can work on. This is its own sort of thing, and then I can add into it. It just, there's a lot, you can plainly see what I'm talking about. It's a lot less, it's as complicated, it's not any less complicated, but I think it's just laid out in a better way to ensure success. Anyway, address your shortcomings. That's all I'm trying to do, is I have a hard time holding that all together and making it accurate, so I'm trying to find a way to get around it and make it better. Just make it a little better every time, right? That's all we're trying to do here. Woo! So, I think this is where we're going to finish up for the afternoon. I'm pretty fucking tired and been screwing with this for a while. Good things I will say is, like, my gaps everywhere are so much nicer than they were on this one over here. I had so much of this that was, like, big, hideous gaps that were all fucking full of weld, which was just not a good idea. So, I feel like we've improved, which was the goal. We're getting better. I remember how much of a fucking little orgasmic fit we had about the curvy stays, because I really, really liked them. But as I look at this looks fucking cool as shit. I really like the straight tubes. It looks like a fucking missile or an arrow or something cool like that. I don't know. I like it. I think it's going to be great. Going to finish up the welding the chain stays and then get them fuckers in here, and away we go.